This is the expansion of the law of attraction. This is Joshua Live. We're thrilled you're here.
We are thrilled to be here.
Welcome.
Welcome.
It is so nice to be in this environment of physical reality. Just sifting and sorting and going through stuff and expanding and processing fears and living life to the fullest, being authentically who you are. Well, we don't know what any of that's like. We can only imagine what that's like because from our non-physical perspective, we don't really sift and sort. We don't really see anything from a limited perspective. We can't feel fear. Therefore, we don't really expand in the way that you expand. Well, we're always expanding, but not through the contrast that exists because there just is no contrast. We expand by hoping for you and wishing that you do well and being excited for you and inspiring you and cheering for you when you process a fear and supporting you when you're down and out. And that is really what we do in the non-physical. Is nothing compared to what you're going through in the physical. Are you having fun in the physical? Are you noticing that things are expanding right now in this time of awakening? Are you seeing how awesome the potential really is?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
It might seem like you're encountering difficulty, but it's not really difficulty. It's simply a change in your state of being. It's simply a change in the conditions. It's just moving you towards where you want to be. It's simply expansion. And this expansion sometimes seems like it's not expansion. Sometimes it seems like you're going backwards. Sometimes it seems like a letdown. But it never is. It's just from a perspective of not knowing what the future holds that you think you're going backwards, or you think things aren't really working out as they should, or you think things should be easier, or you think things should be different. It's just a different perspective. And it doesn't really matter. All that is simply resistance to what is. And you can be resistance if you want, or you can work through it a bit, find your balance, and look at the bright side. So what's the bright side of anything? The bright side of anything is you are attracting that which you truly want. You can't really help but do that. Things are coming to you. That's all it is. So, in this sifting and sorting through contrast and feeling fear and processing the fear and feeling negative emotion and realizing what that is, just the fact that you're out of alignment, that you're taking a limited perspective, what can you do in the moment? Is there anything you can do in the moment? Or is it best just to roll with it, just to take a break from it, and just to think about it later? What would you think about that?
I'll be all right.
What would you think, Wendy?
I think I'd be all right. I mean, I'm trying to live moment to moment and realize that in the moment, everything is perfect. So if I can just stay in that flow of moment to moment, then everything is always perfect, regardless of what's happening around me, because it's for me.
In the moment, you just cannot deny that everything is okay.
Yep.
Yeah.
It's really, if you take that perspective, that here I am, living life, breathing air. I have food, I have a roof over my head, I have people that love me. Okay, this thing happened, okay, and this thing seems like it's a bad thing, but really, in this moment where I am in my body, nothing is that wrong. This moment's okay. And it's funny that this moment's okay, which means, really, the next moment's going to be okay. And 5 minutes from now will be okay. And maybe somehow down the line, I'm going to encounter something that I don't like. But that's really not happening now, is it? And if it happens then, well, I know for a fact that I'll be ready for it then. I know that it'll be okay then. I know that when it arrives, I'll be in a different vibrational state. I may not be ready to handle it right now, but when it arrives, I know for a fact I'll be able to handle it then. And if you can simply say that to yourself, you can process these limiting beliefs or these limiting ideas or these limited perspective in the moment. And if you can do it in the moment, then you can feel a little bit better. And what's the benefit of feeling better? Does anyone know the benefit of feeling better?
To receive source, to receive inspiration,
to
be
receive
connected.
inspiration, to get the idea for the next step. You see, you're not in this alone. You have your millions. You have source fully supporting you. You have the powers of the universe in your hands. You just don't think you do. Even though you're aware of it, because we constantly repeat ourselves and tell you all about it. Even though you're aware of it logically, you still don't think about it. You still feel like an individual. If you are feeling miserable, you just have less access to this inspiration because it won't sound like inspiration to you because you'll be thinking of things to fix your problem. If you feel better and if you are curious about what's going to come, then you are setting yourself up in an environment of allowing. And in that environment, you can receive the inspiration for the next step and just move in that direction. That's all you have to do. Sounds simple, doesn't it? It is a simple system. It's a very basic, simple system. The system is this. You come here to explore, you sift and sort, you cast yourself into an environment where you're going to adopt some limiting beliefs. You're going to perceive yourself as not God, even though you are God. You're going to perceive yourself as not magnificent, even though you could not be more magnificent. And then you're going to come to find out who you really are through sifting and sorting. And if not in this lifetime, then maybe the next, and maybe the next, and maybe the next. And each time you recognize a little bit more of your magnificence, your reality changes to reflect that back to you. And so it's an exhilarating ride to come. And those of you who are really masters of this reality, set yourselves up in conditions that give you these incredibly strong, powerful, limiting beliefs about who you really are. You set yourself up in these own conditions because you know you're a master. You know it would be easy to understand your perfection if you were raised in an environment where everyone told you were perfect the whole time. That's too easy for you. You set yourself up into a more contrasty childhood on purpose so that you can move through that and find out who you really are. You might give yourself some disabilities or some strangeness that happened in your childhood just so that you would think you were different. And that difference would cause you to want to look for something else out there, some sort of path to follow. And that's how you found Joshua, and that's how you found Abraham, and that's how people find whatever they find. It's by design, and you created it all. Now that you're coming to be aware of who you really are, now you have to put it in practice. You don't have to, but you want to. It's actually, you know better now, so you sort of need to. You sort of realize what's happening, and then you catch yourself when you're not being who you really authentically are, and then you're sort of getting into the little nuances of life now, and now you're starting to make the changes to become more authentic, to process your fears more, to think more about how you're being treated and how you treat others and how you react to the conditions negatively or positively.
Yeah.
And as you do that, your reality is starting to change. And some of you can see this change right now. A lot of you can see the change right now. The change is sort of becoming blatant. And now you're coming into this new awareness and you're shifting into a completely different reality, along with a lot of other people. And you feel this shift in your body and in your environment too. And things are happening that seem like they shouldn't be happening. And this is the contrast that's associated with the shift in reality. You're moving to another level. And that level is going to feel even better to you. And it's going to constantly feel better and better and better. And the fear is going to feel more intense and more intense and more intense because those fears are greater now. And they're more observable now. And you're used to feeling better now. And so then they will pick up. And plus, you're all very highly sensitive people anyway. Because you chose to be sensitive. If you chose to be insensitive to your emotions, you would simply suppress them, not deal with them, and carry on like it doesn't matter. But because you're highly sensitive and highly tuned individuals with highly tuned and sensitive bodies, the feeling, the emotions affect you more than a lot of other people who aren't grand masters as you are. This is actually a very exciting thing, even though it might seem highly challenging at times. Because the more challenged you are in certain areas, the more growth potential there is for you. So this is why we're saying it's so exciting to live in physical reality, because this game is very intense and very fun, and it only matters how you perceive it. Your perception of reality is everything. It is literally everything. And you can perceive your reality in a way that is highly empowering or highly limiting. And that choice is yours. Because sometimes when things seem like they're going bad, it just seems like it feels better to look at life from a very limited perspective and to blame fate or to blame others or to blame yourself for not creating the reality that you prefer. But you must understand that this is all part of this creation process and that you intended this the whole time, the whole way through. It's actually perfect. As is...
So can you...
Yes. We were waiting for someone to jump in there.
Can you tell me, am I just shifting dimensions or like reaching new stages of the creative process? Because I feel like what's been happening is I've been blipping along, operating like basically like you guys incarnate, it feels like a lot of the time, because I've been practicing this stuff and it's becoming automated. And so it feels like 80 to 90% of the time I'm doing exactly what I love to do, and I'm feeling good, and I'm just going wherever I'm inspired, and I'm not questioning, I'm just going with the flow, and all of these incredible conversations are happening in little magical moments here and there, and it's great. I get all these ideas for different things that I can do. I take the first step to put them in motion, and then it's not even like anything specific happens, but then all of a sudden I don't know, it feels like I hit a wall vibrationally where all of a sudden I feel so small again. And I'm like, what am I doing here? And how?
So let's look at your life, say 2 years ago. So think of how you were 2 years ago.
Let's not. Let's
Right.
not.
Think of how limiting your perspective was 2 years ago.
Right.
Okay. 2 years ago is not a long time. You've come along 2 years and you've made these incredible shift in your perception of your own reality. You've come to see yourself as so much greater than you saw yourself before. And as you do that, you shifted into a reality where you could be authentically you and where all these magical things were happening. And the way you perceive these little magical things as little is also from a limited perspective, because these little things aren't little at all. They are truly momentous things.
Yeah.
If you had experienced those things 2 years ago, it would be a different experience altogether. But imagine all this interaction you're having with people of a like mind every week, of people that you meet by random every week, that sort of thing, of all the adventures that you're on, of the work that you're doing, of the moving ahead spiritually that you're doing, of the understanding who you are more. And then you're at this new dimension. You're at this new dimension, let's say, for the last 6 months. And you're blipping along at this new dimension. And then things seem to slow down. Because compared to how you felt about this before, you are now used to it. It is now familiar. You now expect it. You now see yourself from a much higher place and are used to seeing yourself from that place. It's not really as exciting anymore. So what does that mean? It means you're ready for another shift. You were enjoying this for a while, and when it gets a little common, a little so-so, you are ready for some more excitement. Takes a little time to get used to it, and now you're moving to the next level. And so what is the next level? Well, you're getting a little antsy. You're feeling a little agitated. You're ready for something to shift. You feel like things aren't moving quick enough. And this is building a desire for the next thing. And so when you are inspired to do the next thing, this desire is the thing that's going to put you over the edge of your fear of whatever this next thing is.
Okay. I feel like I have 6 different next things. I mean,
What's the first of the 6 things?
What's the first of the 6 things?
What comes to
the one that's the most present in my mind right now is I've set it in motion to host this meditation event here in town with people that I've met around town. And it all fell into place. I had the idea. I designed like a flyer just to get the idea out of my head and something physical, and then had a couple conversations, got people that were inspired to help me. And then, one thing led to another, and I found a space, and all of these things are falling into place. And then now so when I first had the idea, I thought, oh, it'd probably be like, maybe there'll be 4 people, and, and then we can keep doing it and see if it builds up from there. And now there's a lot of interest. And so it has potential to be a lot bigger. And so that's bringing up fears in me, because I had this space and it was perfect, and now it's too small. And what if I can't find another space, and money?
Okay. So what is that? That is simply going too many steps ahead in too many things.
Okay.
Right. So if you just took this one thing and said, this one event is going to be in this one place with as many people as we can fit in this one space.
Right.
And if we can't fit any more, then we can't fit any more. And if there is a desire for more, then I know that the universe will bring to me the perfect space. I don't have to find it.
Right.
One of the other people will find it. Somehow it will pop up. There's nothing I need to do other than maintain my good feeling of this good idea from the place that I had it in the first place.
Right.
Right. So that's the one thing that you have to do. All the other things, all the 5 other things in there are not really necessary. Do this one thing, see where that one thing leads, and put the other 5 things out of your mind. Now, if the other 5 things are important, they will pop up again, and you will receive inspiration around those things when you need to. But by worrying about 5 things at one time, it's just fragmenting your vibration.
Right.
So focus on the one thing while you have it, and if the other things are important, you'll be inspired to do that, because the first thing that you take care of will seem too easy now. You'll have it down pat. It'll take care of itself. And then this will allow you to think about these other things in a good feeling place. And then if you are inspired for something else, you will do the one step that's inspired to do for the next thing, and not worry about what it looks like 50 steps from now. Because it doesn't matter anyway, does it?
Right.
Nothing existed before you had the inspiration anyway. So you don't have to be attached to any level of this idea. It doesn't mean anything about you. It's only there for fun. It's only there to show you your power and what you can create when you follow up with inspiring ideas. That's all it's there for. So it might seem like a big thing. It might seem like a little thing, but it's all the same.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
So if you would all release your attachments to what you think is important in your lives, you could more easily process the fears around them. Okay, this idea for this meditation is a fun idea. I've set up some possibilities. I've made some statements. I've made a couple promises. And if it goes well, it goes well. And if it doesn't go well, it doesn't mean anything about me. I'm going to allow the universe to shape it, but I'm not going to be attached to the outcome of it. And it's not going to define me in any way. Now, if you can say that about this thing, you can say it about your job. You can say it about your family. You can say it about your finances, and you can say it about your home. You can say it about all these things that seem so important to you. But the fact that you attach so much value to them is a mechanism of control, because you want to maintain these things in your life, and in the sphere of loss, you aren't helping anything about it. What you want to do is have this attitude that I really appreciate the things that exist in my life for as long as they exist in my life. And I know that I can never lose any of that. And if it was to change in some way, I know that it would be for my highest good and for my benefit. I'm going to be easy about it and let it be as it will be, without trying to mold it and shape it into something that I think makes sense to me. or means something about me. I'm just going to let it be. I'm going to let my job be. If my job is here, then I will have fun with that job. And if my job is not here, then I know that something more is coming to me. And that I'm not defined by having a job, losing a job, being praised at my job. Being praised at your job just makes your bosses create more attachment in you to that job. It's just a mechanism of control on their part. Being chastised while at your job is another mechanism of control. They don't want to feel fear, so they want you to act in a certain way so that you don't bring out the fear in them. And if they can control you, it's not to their benefit to control you. What they truly want is the authentic you, to be inspired to do whatever you do, because that inspiration comes from a place of love, and that is always for the benefit of all. Who has something else they'd like to talk about?
Well, I'd like to add to what Kyla's thing. Kyla, I was just inspired to say to you that I please don't worry about any of that, because I truly believe what attracts people to you a lot of times is your free flowing, your, hey, we're going to see where it goes kind of thing. And I think that's attractive to people, and it always works out, and they know that. And so they're going to just follow right along because they just want to be a part of your experience.
Not only is it attractive to them, but it is inspiring to them.
Yes, inspiring.
It makes
is a
them
better
want
word.
to be the same way.
Yes.
To take that same approach to life. The approach to life that actually works with the laws of the universe, instead of fighting against those laws by trying to maintain some sort of control.
Right. Yeah. And if it doesn't work out, then that's just showing to them that it's okay if it doesn't work out, whatever it is in their life. You know what I mean? It just gives them the freedom to follow their inspiration and without any attachment. And you can model that for them.
But there's even more to it, because this idea of it not working out is not possible.
True.
It may not result in the outcome that you want to control, but whatever the outcome is the way it was supposed to work out. Because if it works out in a way that's adverse to the way you intended, it is there as an opportunity to let go of a limiting belief, or to move you into a different space, or to create a new desire. So there's always that benefit to what you would perceive as failure. In fact, there is no benefit to having things work out for you exactly as you intended every time. Because if you did that, then there would be no opportunity for growth or expansion. Right. What perceived failures, the perceived manifestation events that aren't working out, those things are always there to move you towards where you truly want to be. You don't truly want to be someone who makes a meditation event every week and is slave to that for the rest of your life. This is just one little thing amongst millions of things that you'll do.
Yeah. Like everything else that I do, and I understand, I don't know, maybe I guess I do get attached to it, but so I have these little glimpses, and I understand that they're just a seed of what could be, but it shows me what's possible. And so I get one of the things that excites me about this idea is not just being a hostess for a meditation event, but connecting with people, showing people how meditation can be fun, just showing them meditation is a simple device for controlling the flow of thought. And then once you can do that, you can process. And so just sharing my perspectives on all of these things, connecting with people in my community, I could see it being a thing with families that come and
Yeah, and that's a wonderful thing, but from your perspective, where you are and who Kyla is right now, that is the exciting thing. But 6 months from now, it'll be a different thing. And part of moving Kyla from Kyla 1.0 to Kyla 1.1 in 6 months will be the experience of this thing. And 6 months from now, looking back on this thing is completely different than now looking forward to this thing.
Right.
Because your perspective is limited. So the idea is that you get this exciting idea, you move forward to it, you manifest whatever happens of it to come out as ever it'll come out. You are satisfied with however it comes out based on how it came out, not what your expectations were. And you move to the next thing that you're excited to do without the attachment to having to do the same thing over and over again. This is the problem with your jobs. You have so much attachment to your identity within your jobs that you want to be good. You want to control the environment by being good in that environment, by molding yourself into a version of you that is acceptable to your bosses and to your coworkers and to your employees or people under you and to your customers. Instead of being the enlightened person, the authentic person that you truly are, and doing what you want to do in that position. And using that position for the only thing it's good for, which is your growth and expansion.
Right.
If you can be authentic in whatever you're doing, then your gifts and talents will come forth for the benefit of that thing you're doing. If you mute who you are being, because being anything than that might cause people to feel fear or might cause people to have opinions of you that you don't want them to have or might do whatever happens, then you are just limiting yourself and you are just not allowing your true gifts and talents to come forward.
Right.
We would love for Isabel to talk about how she was at work and what happened to her at work.
So, I have meetings with my manager, and a couple of weeks ago, he said a coworker of mine was upset with me.
Now, why did he say that to you?
He said,
Why did he even bring it up? Why does he care?
Oh, why does he care? Yeah. So he's trying to control the conditions. He's trying to control the fear that Annette felt.
And that he feels. That he feels. He doesn't care about Annette's fear. He only cares about his fear.
Oh, okay. Right. All right.
So he's trying to change you so that he doesn't feel fear. So that he feels fear when people come to complain. He feels fear that he's not maintaining this environment of harmony.
Yeah.
Right. He feels that if the work environment is disharmonious, that it reflects negatively on him, to his bosses, right?
Right. And then at that moment, I totally saw ego and fear and persona and all of it. So it really kind of washed over me pretty quick, right? I was just like, oh, that's a shame, whatever. And I said, oh, okay, thank you very much. And I moved on, didn't give it thought. But it happened again. And that's when I said, oh, it must be a reflection of me in a wobble, because now I'm noticing that it happened to me again, that people are perceiving he's trying to control the fear, the conditions, and me once again. And that's when I wrote to Joshua and I said, hey, this kind of stuff I usually would be like, it's fear, controlling, move it on, But I realized it must be a wobble because it's for me. If it happened to me, it's for me.
And so what was the wobble that you think was there?
So I said, hey, is it I was trying to think, I'm like, is it ego? Is it persona? And I'm like, well, maybe it's this little wobble that I'm not a leader, because they use the word leading twice in the complaint. And I went, oh, isn't that curious that they use the word leader?
Do you see yourself as a leader, who you authentically are?
I do.
Do you think that you chose the thing? Imagine that you chose your parents, the time and place of your birth, your body,
right,
the environment of your youth, to cause you to believe in certain things. All of those things cause you to believe that you were a leader, which is what you truly are. Now you have a little wobble about that. Are you entitled to be a leader? Are you worthy of being a leader? Are you allowed to be a leader? That sort of thing, right? And so that wobble comes back in this reflection of other people questioning your right to be their leader.
Yeah.
Because as you act as who you authentically are, you're going to bring up fear in people. And that's not your problem.
Yeah.
That's their problem. You can only be who you authentically are, and you can only be moved by the inspiration that you feel from alignment. So if you were inspired to say something that you thought was fun or interesting to say to these people, and they took offense to it, well, that is all working for you, not against you. And if they come back to show you that you have this wobble, well, you don't have to ask them to be different than they are, or you don't have to be different than you are. You don't have to be nice to them for the next few weeks, or appear not to be a leader for the next few weeks. You can be
I don't have to make them wrong, and I'm not wrong.
You're not wrong, and they're not wrong. Exactly right.
And your lesson to me, which I have to say was probably the most life-changing one for me, was to be okay with conflict, because I put myself in a place where there was conflict every day of my life growing up.
Yes.
And so I was afraid of conflict. And when you said, Isabel, stop changing your beliefs, stop changing who you are to make them happy, which is what I did all the time.
Simply to avoid conflict.
To avoid conflict so I wouldn't feel bad. Yeah. So it's great. And
so now are you being who they want you to be, or are you being who you authentically are?
No, and I'm okay with them not wanting me to be the way I am. I mean, I'm okay with it. Like, okay. But I want to be who I authentically am, because I don't know, there's something that like switched in me that I am not going to be I'm not going to be myself anymore.
Yeah. You're not going to be a limited version of Isabel. You're going to be you're going to allow the full power and talent and abilities of Isabel, the talents that you came with to explore, to emerge from you. And you do that by being who you authentically are. And people are going to love it, and people are going to hate it. And that's right. People are going to see you as a great benefit, because that's what you are. You are a being of love and benefit. And people are going to feel fear in your presence, because you are not conforming to society.
Yes.
You are conforming only to your idea of self as a magnificent being.
Yeah. And that, and you know, I had a lot of rules, and I had a lot of controlling conditions, like, you know, be professional, do this, I had a lot of that. And, but I remind myself, as long as I'm in being of love and not ego, and I guess ego would be like, well, no, I'm right and you're wrong. Then I would be like, oh, okay, that's ego. Right?
Exactly right.
As soon as I want to make somebody wrong, then I know that's the ego and the persona.
Or as soon as you want to make yourself wrong too.
Right. But if I don't want to make anyone wrong, including myself, then I know then I'm authentic. And I think that's the slight, because when you go through this physical reality, sometimes when you're new at this, you don't know, like, is that ego? Is that not ego? You know, but now I understand that's how you can tell. When you're in a love state, nobody's wrong, including yourself.
You might even be confused about inspiration. Inspiration could come from fear. I'm inspired to write a letter to my bosses. I'm inspired to quit this job. I feel this inspiration, but that comes from a place of fear, again, as an attempt to make yourself right, to make people wrong, and to control conditions.
So I really think that's the question that we can ask ourselves, right? Am I trying to change the condition? Am I trying to make somebody right or wrong? Right? The duality.
Am I trying to alleviate my fear by controlling the conditions, rather than processing my fear by accepting that everything is right as it is, even these harsh criticisms that are coming to me from my reality?
Yes. I think that's a good clue. That's a really good check to help us in navigate this world.
It makes it easier because it aligns with the forces of the universe.
Yes.
If you try and control things, you are just simply resisting how the universe works. And it can't work. It'll always be a struggle, it'll always be frustrating, and you will always have to be someone you're not to maintain control of these things you're so attached to. If you're
Yeah.
attached to your job, if you think this job is important, if you think it defines you, if you think it provides the only possible source of abundance that you have, then
Right.
you're going to feel fear anytime
Yeah.
anything happens, and you're going to either try and change yourself or try and change the other people.
Right. And I think the fear of change, right? And, Gary and we were talking because I think I was reading your book, The Radical, I can't think of the title, but Radical Approach or whatever, Radical Change. And I think you mentioned 4 fears, but Gary was saying, no, there really is only one fear, and it's the fear of loss.
Everything boils down to the fear of loss. The fear of change is one of the 4 fears, but that's really a fear of the loss of what you exist in your reality right now, because you perceive that that a change can incur a loss.
And the unknown, that's also a fear.
The unknown is the same thing.
Yep.
It's all
Because-
boils down to a fear of loss, and you can't lose anything, because in the universe, you attract through your vibration, and your vibration envelops the thing that you are attracting, so that it now contains within it the essence of what this physical thing is. Well, the physical thing's not really physical. It's simply a vibration. And that vibration changes moment to moment. And you attract what you want out of that vibration, what is a match to you. And when that vibration of, say, your job changes and is no longer a match to you, because your vibration changes now, it doesn't matter, what you had the moment you got the job and the moments that the job was a vibrational match to you is this expansive quality that came from that job. And when the job is no longer necessary based on the vibration that you're offering, then it will fall away. But that's not what you attracted in the first place, and that is not the same thing as what you attracted in the beginning. Do you see that? Let's say you
And that's
attract
with
a
everything.
computer. You
Right.
open it
Right.
out of the box. The computer is a perfect vibrational match to you. You enjoy it. You work on it. And in 3 years, you're no longer a match to it because it no longer does what you want to do. It was perfectly suitable for the version of you 3 years ago as it was then. And over time, your vibration has changed where this computer is no longer suitable. And so you get a new computer that is now a match to who you've become.
So Joshua, let me ask you this. So my family, I see in my daughter a lot of fear of loss, my mother a lot of fear of loss. Well, everyone, including myself, right? How can so we envelop the energy of the item or the job or the experience, and it's always part of us. But how do we feel like it's always part of us? Like how do we know that?
You know, in the expansion caused by the adoption of the vibration of the thing that you attracted. You know you are different
break
now.
That down. Break that down.
You
Like,
are a different
let's
person
suppose-
now than you were
Okay. Yeah.
before you had your child.
Yes.
The experience of childbirth created a new person, a new version of Isabel, one that
Right.
never existed before. And it's not a more perfect version. You are no more perfect now. You are
Right.
as perfect as you were before. You're simply expanded. The experience of that childbirth, the pregnancy, the actual birth itself, the holding the baby that day, that experience caused an expansion within you. You are a different being because of that experience. And that can never be changed. You can't go backwards. You can't have the experience of not having a child now.
Oh.
So it's with
And
you
it's in
forever.
my memory? So,
No, it's not just with you in your memory. The memory is the least of it. You'll never remember the actual experience of that. You'll only remember bits and pieces of it. Who you are as a person, as a human, is completely different now. This is with you. It's part of your vibration. It can't be lost. You can never go back. You can never be a version of you that did not have a child.
Right.
Okay? So every experience expands you, and who you are is the culmination of all the things that you've attracted your whole life, and they are with you forever. As evidence of who you are now, not of your memory. That's the problem with that, is your memory is really not there to serve as this evidence that you are changed. It is there to make you aware of actions that you took in the past and the ramifications of those actions, and if that was a good idea. It's more, the memory is really more of a way to let you experience how time works, experience growth, experience the idea of you being different than you were before, that sort of thing. Yeah, but it's very weak as that. To know who you are means to know that you've gone through this experience of childbirth, and no matter what happens from now on, you have that experience, and who you are is defined, well, is manifested as one who's had that experience.
So now let's say I'm eternal, right? So I believe I've had many, many lives, and you've said that this life is a blimp, right? So even the previous version of Isabel, who could have been named Tina or Tom or whatever, right? Whatever they attracted in that life experience is also part of that vibration of me.
Not right you now. Right now, but who you really are right now.
Who I really am.
If you think of your inner self and who you really are, and this expanded being of pure positive love and acceptance, that is the culmination of all the experiences and lives and everything you've attracted and who you're eternally linked to. In this life, you get to start off anew. Now, all your previous lives accumulated together created this idea or even this thought or this intention to live life in the way you're living it now.
Gotcha.
Had you not experienced what you've experienced in all these countless lifetimes, you would have been living a different life. You would have been interested in something else.
Right.
You may no longer be interested in being living in poverty in Southeast Asia in a grass hut. You may have done that by now. And so that experience led to this desire for more, which led to this desire for more, that led to this desire to explore more. And here you are, a woman living in North America who is involved in a corporate position, simultaneously understanding who she authentically is and her real power within this framework. Of the abundance, of the education, of the intelligence, of the access to intelligence, of the laws of the universe, of all these things coming together. This life has never been experienced by you before. You've never been vibrationally able to experience such an expansive life before, nor has it been experienced by anyone in the history of the world or anyone in the future of the world. This is a truly unique life. And the culmination of all your lives together place you in this position where you intend for this to happen. Intend for the circumstances of your youth to cause you to be launched on this trajectory towards this life you are living right now. And you get to play with that in that environment. Do you stay small? Do you stay concerned about the opinion of others? Or do you move into a more authentic version of yourself as you see yourself as more magnificent than you've ever seen yourself in any other lifetime?
Right.
And what happens if you see yourself as magnificent in any other lifetime? What happens in your reality? And this is what you're here to explore. And when you transition to the non-physical, you'll say, this aspect was really expansive. And I see here how I was being limited. And so this next life that I choose, it's going to be more focused in this tiny area of it. Maybe I'll come back as a man. Maybe I'll come back as autistic. Maybe I'll come back as whatever. Another challenge, another layer of challenge. That sort of thing.
Right.
Yeah.
Very cool.
Very cool. Excellent.
Yeah, it is. I love it.
Who else has some?
Well, I want to keep
ahead.
talking a little bit about Isabel's stuff. So we're all just a culmination of all our experiences.
Well, your vibration is the culmination of all your experiences. Your vibration is the culmination of all your experiences, which is the culmination of all your beliefs, both beneficial and limiting, which is the culmination of all your desires, which is the culmination of all your fears, which is the culmination of all the things that you intended prior to your birth. All these things add up to what your vibration is in this very moment in time. And where will you
Okay.
go from here? Well, that depends on how you see yourself. If you see yourself as limited, then you might be too scared to do anything more. If you see yourself as magnificent, well, then you might receive inspiration and have enough confidence in who you are to overcome whatever fear comes up and do that thing.
Okay. So lately, I feel that I'm limitless. Have internalized that, and lately I've felt very neutral. So going back to what Kyla was talking about, is that like this neutrality where I don't have real highs and I don't have real lows. I'm just kind of neutral. Does that mean like
Neutral
I'm ready?
couldn't be better.
Yeah, I love it. I mean, I'm enjoying it.
Neutrality is the universe. Everything in the universe is neutral. If you can see everything as neutral, then you are completely aligned with how the universe works. The problem comes when you are in duality, where you believe that some things are good and some things are bad inherently. Some
Right.
things,
And
right?
going back to what you were saying about always having your millions with you, I'm very aware of that now. And when I start to go down that path of, oh, this isn't right, this isn't, this is wrong, I get all these little voices saying, oh, yes, it is, everything is perfect. No, 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 no.
Isn't it nice to have guidance so close at hand?
Yeah, they're very talkative little suckers.
Yes, yes. And so you can be neutral, you can be a being of love, you can enjoy life, you can have fun, and then you will birth a desire for something more because you're ready for something more or not, whatever, and you'll get some inspiration, and you'll either be able to follow through on that inspiration or not based on where you are and how you feel about yourself. If Kyla felt the way she did about herself 2 years ago and she had the inspiration to start a meditation group, her fears would overcome her and she would never take that first step.
Right.
Now she sees herself as far more magnificent than she was then. And now she's easily able to process those fears. What if no one comes? What if I can't get to space? What if no one likes it? What if the results are bad? And she says to herself, I'm going to find out. I'm going to see what happens. I have confidence in the universe that things will work out. I realize that I received inspiration from a good feeling state of being, and this inspiration will always lead to my highest good. Now, it might lead right into a manifestation event where I can process a limiting belief, but that is only because I'm taking a limiting perspective based on this attachment I have to some outcome that I think is beneficial. In reality, I do not know what the outcome should be.
Right.
There's
Yeah,
no
maybe
way
it's
to know
supposed
what
to
it
fail.
should be, right? I'm just
right.
thinking it should be this, but I could be completely off on that based on my limited perspective. Had I had more information, I could see what the ultimate benefit of this would be. I could see that maybe the whole benefit of this whole idea was for these two people to meet.
Right.
That's the only
Right.
reason this even occurred. And that the whole thing seemed like a failure, but in reality, these people, two people met. And because I was the path of least resistance of the universe, it allowed them to meet and go on to manifest whatever it was for them. I just happened to be a easy way for the universe to get them together. Right. You don't know what's supposed to happen. So what you can do is take solace in the knowledge that everything that's supposed to happen is happening. And that you're always taken care of. You are always rewarded yourself personally for any time you take action when inspired from a good place. You're always rewarded every time. There's always a gift in there for you. Alette, we would love to hear about your first day with your student
my
trainee.
students. Oh, it was a very busy day. We one of our partners a couple of months ago came to ask us, the translation department, me and my colleague, whether we've ever had a student trainee in our department. And no, well, we hadn't. And we knew she didn't come unprepared because we said, well, we would like to try it. Do you know anyone? And she said yes. And it turned out to be the brother of one of our associates.
Oh.
Who would like to do a short traineeship at our firm and at our department. So I was a bit worried about that because, of course, he will talk about us with his brother. although after having seen him today, I'm not sure about that. But and also the partner will know how we operate, whether he liked us, whether he thinks we're doing a good job, all that stuff. So I was a bit worried. But then he arrived today, and I made sure that the computers, everyone had a computer, and he had a desk, and that kind of stuff.
And you also pre-paved how you were going to approach this experience.
Yes, I wasn't nervous at all. I was looking forward to it, and you said everything is for you, whatever happens. So I thought, well, I'll see what happens, and I'm just wait and see what happens.
We asked you to adopt an attitude of curiosity because it was no coincidence that this event happened at this time. You are well along in the one-on-one conversation. You have made great strides in your ability to see yourself as more capable, more confident, more magnificent than you thought yourself before. And had this person come in 6 months ago, it would have been a different experience. Now that you're able to process the little fears that you have, you can see that the timing of this is perfect, and that in this timing, there's something for you to come from it. And so if you can go into this with this attitude of observation and curiosity and what is there in this for you, then it makes the whole experience more beneficial because you're taking a much higher perspective on this subject than you might have in the past.
Yes.
And so how did it turn out when he came?
When he came, well, it's a very nice guy, and a bit shy. And but we and my colleague, we introduced ourselves, and then my colleague just took the lead. He took over, and making us and himself better than we are, I think. I don't know. And,
so he's trying to control the situation.
Yes.
He's not going in there with an attitude of curiosity. He wants to maintain control because he cares about what people think, and he's attached to how he's perceived, and he's attached to this position that he has.
Yeah, he kind of forgot me during the tour. Introduced him to everyone in Swiss. So. And then we got back, and there was this, an issue with the computer, so I had to solve that. And then my colleague got a call from his daughter's school that she went home sick. So he had to go home.
Oh, he had to leave. What a shock. What are the odds of that?
100%.
And then I had to change computers again. It was a mess and very busy. I was very, very tired. And luckily, we didn't have any assignments, any work today.
Because you'll be ready for them tomorrow.
I hope so.
Excellent.
So, but all in all, it was a good experience, and for the next 2 weeks he'll be joining us, and I think it will be nice. It will be fun, so and I'm looking forward to see what he has to bring, what he is bringing me.
Well, what he's bringing you is a new level of confidence about yourself, as a new appreciation for how you're handling the situation by processing your fears and being your authentic self, rather than by contrast, seeing how your colleague does it, who is trying to control the conditions and trying to make the person think that he's better than he really is.
Yes.
Which is all done out of fear. It's all based in fear. And it's never going to have the desired effect that he thinks it will be.
No.
It's likely that the trainee is going to think differently of you than he thinks that he will think of him by the end of all this. Yeah. And he will likely think that you're the one who is the senior, or you're the one who is really running things there. Because you are the calm one. If you come across as calm, it's going to make sense to him that you have a reason to be calm, because you are confident and you are relaxed in your ability to do what you need to do. Very good.
Oh, cool. Thank you.
How is France?
France is hot today. But I'm glad that you asked me about that because I did have a little manifestation event just before this phone call. So, I went to the States. I had this great vacation. We spent lots of money, and I was in this abundant place where I wasn't paying attention to money, and neither was my husband. And it's funny, like when we were actually landing in Paris, he looked at his phone and he was in fear about money. And then, I kind of ignored it. And then, I've been doing that abundance exercise that Isabel's question provoked. And today's day 3 and I've collected €2. Okay. So, abundance. Okay. Lots of abundance. I'm thinking I'm going to lose this contest. And then
there's no contest. This is all about stretching yourself.
Nikki, I'm only at $3.26.
Right. So then, just before the call, my husband had to make a transfer with his bank, and I'm in his office, and then he had just made a transfer to his accountant, and he looked at me and he said, "We're going to have to take money from this account that has my name on it." Okay. It's like a little account where we don't really want to touch it because it's for a rainy day or it's for fun things, so that he can balance out all the money we spent this summer.
Good.
And I immediately hated him.
Oh.
I immediately went into fear. And,
right. And he became the object of your fear.
Yeah.
Because who else are you going to hate?
Right, myself, I guess. I don't know.
You don't want to do that.
I don't hate. I don't hate him, but yeah, I felt a contrast right away.
But you just said that money was for a rainy day or for something fun, and didn't you have an amazing time?
I did, but it's for my next set of fun.
Oh.
And
so
I feel
there's this belief that you have to know where it is in order for it to come.
Yeah.
And that's why the abundance thing is such a good, fun activity, because it allows you to stop focusing on the money that's going out, because that's not important in this experiment. You're only focused on whatever comes in. You're completely shifting your vibration around money, and it's not going to happen in a day or 2 days, although it happened to Gary in 2 days. It is a week thing. Well, it happened to Gary, but not as he expected.
Ooh, do tell.
He wired his mother $5,000 on Friday, and then today got a text that the bank won't accept the wire from a corporate account. So he got the $5,000 back. So his figure that he had written down was $5,000. And so his brother has to.
I wrote that.
His brother has to send the money from his personal account. Now, did Gary actually earn $5,000? Was it really a gift? Did he come out ahead? No, that's not what this experiment is about. It's an experiment of seeing how money is coming to you, how money is always coming to you from ways you don't think it's proper or ways you don't think it's good. You have to get into this point where the source of the money, from wherever it comes from, is good, whether that's a loan or a mistake or something crazy like what happened to Gary. Seeing all this money flowing in from all these sources and realizing it doesn't really matter. It's always coming in. It's always going in. It always has in the past. It always will in the future, as long as you are open to this idea that it can come from anywhere.
Right.
Yes.
It seems strange because Gary was thinking, oh, it's going to come from a poker tournament or it's going to come from this or that. He never imagined that it would, and he was thinking, where's it going to come from? Do I need to do this? Do I need to do that? And he never imagined that it would be from this. You couldn't. You can't see how things are going to come. So since you can't see how things are going to turn out, it is pointless to try and pigeonhole where it's going to come from, because that just limits it coming to you. You can't see how things are going to work out. You can't know why you were inspired to this idea to create a meditation group. You can't know what it means. You can't know what's going to happen in 6 months. You can't know who you're going to be in 6 months. You can't know any of this. All you can do is know right now that everything's good. Okay, we have this account. Perfect. That's great. Let's make it easy. Let's not make my life more difficult by complaining that we're taking money out of this precious account. That's what the account is for. More money will come. What I truly want as a human being, what I truly want is love and harmony. And I want to express my love to my husband rather than to cause him fear or to try and control him, to have him come find another way to get this money.
You know, it's funny you say that because I have thought for a long time that he causes me fear. In fact, I have an expectation. He's the bank. He's the unlimited source of money that's going to flow to me. So when he's in fear, I'm in fear. I mean, that's not true. I make my own money. But yeah, I do have, it's all, you know, it's like a triangle. It's sort of, in my head, it's confusing because it's all tangled up, I would say. I have expectations that he's going to always say yes every time, you know, I want to write a check or use my carte bleue, my credit card. And I think that's my expectation of a specific outcome.
And when he has to come to you and say, we need to move money from here to here, he feels fear because he knows that you're going to withdraw love. You're going to want to control him by rescinding the love.
Yeah.
And so he knows it's coming, and he wants you to be different than you are too. He wants you to appreciate everything, right? And so he does everything in order to get you to appreciate. He did this trip for you so that you would appreciate him and love him and show him love. And that can't work either because that's just a control mechanism as well, right?
Yeah.
And so... But there's nothing you can do on his side. All you can do is on your side, is process your own fear and allow everything to be right as it is and have faith that you can't see how it's going to work out, but that it is going to work out. And in this case here, it's working out perfectly.
Yeah, it is working out perfectly, but then I want to, we get invited to go to Ibiza for a weekend, and, you know, I'm going to Florida for this land cruise, and so all these things are coming up, and now I feel fear, and I didn't feel fear when 2 weeks ago.
Yes, and why not?
Well, because I wasn't thinking about reality.
Good.
I was believing that it was infinite, you know, money was just going to come. I was in faith. I was walking in faith and trusting the universe. And then he came in and
he didn't remind you.
No.
He reflected back to you how you were feeling before. He couldn't have done anything in your reality had you not already been fearing this or thinking about it to some extent already.
Yeah.
It'd be impossible. If you were totally, absolutely assured that abundance was your birthright and never had another doubt about it, he'd have no reason ever to come and present anything to you.
Yeah.
It couldn't come up for you. Yeah. Nor would you even care because you would know. You wouldn't care. Even if he said, yes, I'm taking the money out of your account with your name on it, thinking it belongs to you, right? You would say, I don't care. It means nothing to me.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know? Doesn't mean a thing to me. And if you needed money, you'd be inspired to something that would lead you to money, or money would flow to you in some way. It's only this perception of lack that could ever cause you lack. And yet, you live one of the most abundant lives in the history of all life.
Yeah. Totally.
In the history of all life. So then you worry about your son who wants to go to college in America, and how will you pay for that? Well, that's not your responsibility.
It isn't?
If he has a desire, what are you, the universe? You're going to manifest every desire he ever has? You're not the source of his desires to manifest. By you manifesting every desire he ever has, you're making it harder for him to manifest his own desires.
Right.
Also, conversely, by you not manifesting his desires, you make him perceive that the world is a limited, unabundant place.
Yeah.
So those children raised in wealth are at a disadvantage, and those children raised in poverty are at a disadvantage. Those children raised sort of in the middle there have a little bit more going for them. Now,
I feel so much better.
So well, imagine the children raised in absolute wealth. They have no issue with abundance. It's easy for them to maintain abundance, but it's very hard for them to give up control. They're going to want this control, which is going to last with them their entire lives on the most part. And those children in dire poverty, or even in limitations, are going to perceive that abundance isn't an easy thing to get. They're going to perceive it as you have to work hard, you have to do the things you don't want to do. And so they're also going to live in this control, because they're going to say, in order to live a life that's decent, I'm going to have to do what I don't want to do. And it's the kids in the middle who have been told that things are easy, you're magnificent, you can do what you want to do, you can be whoever you want to be, follow your dreams, follow your desires, figure it out, the universe is going to yield it to you, who tend to push the limits of reality, who tend to move towards the outer limits of experience. You see them all the time. If you ever watch a GoPro minute, you'll see them doing things that you couldn't believe people were capable of doing.
Yeah.
Yeah. So he is in this thing. He can have this desire to go to America and figure out a way to do it. Or that desire will lead to something else where he will be happy staying in France.
Okay.
It'll work out.
Well, that's a big relief for me.
Yeah. But you aren't the one responsible for it.
Okay.
Nor do you want to be.
No.
You want to support him in his dreams to do whatever he wants to do, but you're not necessarily the one who's going to facilitate those dreams. You're going to let him figure it out.
Okay.
Good. And we have saved the best for last. Genevieve, how are you? Are you there?
Hi, Joshua.
Hi.
I'm hanging in there.
Excellent. So tell us about what your job is like these days.
Non-existent.
Oh, what happened?
The more that I think about it, the more that I'm like, man. It was in April, a handout, a resource list I passed out to some 14, 15-year-olds.
What kind of work do you do? Did you do?
I taught sexuality education in schools mostly.
Excellent.
So,
and where did you teach this?
It was at a public school, a junior high.
Okay.
And it had the fact sheet had some links to our organization's website with some videos that were designed for an older teen. And it was a complete overlook on my part.
Oh, really? It was an accident.
It was a complete accident, but then of
Complete
course
accident.
I'm blaming myself for not being thorough.
Oh, okay. So it was an accident. Do you believe that accidents can happen?
No.
Yes. And I believe I've done that before a lot.
Yeah,
Like,
you
by
cannot make an accident. It is not possible for you to make an accident. Everything that you did was inspired. And it was for your own highest good and your own benefit. And it will lead to a benefit that you cannot imagine from where you are now. But in time, you will look back and you will see that it was the most magical thing that ever happened to you.
I feel like everything that's happened to me or that's happened in the past year is kind of set. I feel like I'm at ground zero right now. Like,
Well, where were you before? Were you
the
above
door is
ground
completely
zero?
open and
Yeah.
any.
Yeah. The door is open now.
I was
You
just-
have made it to this place.
Yeah, but I don't
Celebrate.
I don't know what's next, and I don't even want to plan anything.
That's right.
Oh, even-
You cannot know what's next. If you knew what's next, it would not be any fun at all. Right?
Yeah.
In a roller coaster, they go slowly up this hill, and you can't tell what the drop's going to be until you get to the top. And the reason for that is because the anticipation of what's coming next leads to the exhilaration of the actual ride itself. And without that anticipation, the exhilaration is not nearly as fun. Because it's not nearly as scary. You see. So, yes, you cannot know what's coming up. If you knew what was coming up, then this life would be completely meaningless because you would never expand through any experience such as this. You're expanding through this experience because it's meaningful. If you know what was coming next, where you'd be in 5 years, you'd be like, oh, yeah, I had to go through that experience. I'm glad I did it. But that would not be an expansive way to go through it, would it? You would not question yourself. You would not question your ideals. You would not question the system that you're in. You would not question this whole thing about teaching kids. You would not question where a 14-year-older is now compared to where a 14-year-older was pre-internet. Do you understand that 14-year-olders now have access to far more things that were available to 14-year-olds 20 years ago? And that the information that is necessary for them to understand now is far beyond what was written for people 20 years ago. And so the field that you're in is expanding so rapidly that you were inspired, whether you knew it or not, to keep up with what was actually needed.
Yes.
Right? Now, this led to someone else wanting to control the conditions by terminating your employment. It was their fear. It was the fear of what these parents would say to this person. It would be the fear of all of that, you see. And so from this perspective now, where you can look back and see that their fear was trying to control who you were being, and that led to this termination of this job so that you could move to the next stage in your evolution, everything worked out perfectly. And everything is going to work out perfectly. And you're going to see that in 6 months. And it is no coincidence this happened on question 3 of your one-on-one.
Wow.
Could you imagine being at a better place in your life to start new and fresh?
No.
Yes.
That was the only way it was going to happen. Like, I look at it now, and it's like this is the only way that I could accept it or change or...
Exactly. Because
or based on the way
you were attached to that job for whatever reason. And there was a lot of benefits in the job, and the job was great. But you are no longer a vibrational match to that because you have expanded beyond that. And you are ready for something new. And so what you're going to do now is you're going to work on figuring out a way to elevate your perspective so that you can maintain your alignment, so that you can receive the inspiration to take the next step. And you will be ready for that next step when that happens. And you will not think 50 steps down the road. You'll say, that's the next step. I'm going to read this book. I'm going to research this profession. I'm going to follow this interest. I'm going to join this club. I'm going to participate in this thing. I'm going to have a glass of wine. I'm going to eat a chocolate cake. I'm going to wake up in the morning and start over again. Keep my perspective as high as I can, as high as I can, as high as I can, all the way through, maintaining my alignment and waiting for inspiration to strike. And when it strikes, I'm not going to worry about anything other than that one step. And I'm going to take that one step, and I'm going to do it, and I can't wait to see what happens. And I can't wait to see where this goes. And I'm exhilarated by the expansion that this has already caused, knowing that I'm ready for this now. Knowing that everything I've lived through in my life, everything that's happened to me, the reason that I'm interested in this subject in the first place is due to the conditions of my childhood. The reason that everything has brought me here is this one thing, to know myself more for who I really am, so that my secret powers and talents can emerge. And I can use these abilities in Congress with the laws of the universe to move far beyond what I can imagine right now. To move far beyond the limitations that I've imposed myself. To get a glimpse of who I really am. And when I do that, when I get a glimpse of who I really am, my reality soars. Things shift. And they shift in a way that feels, for the first time in my life, really, 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 really awesome. And that's all you want to do. All you want to do is get to the state of feeling really awesome, and then getting used to feeling really awesome, and then get used to being bored with feeling really awesome, and then have a desire to feel even better than really awesome, and then get motivated or inspired to do something that causes you to feel fear, which causes you not to feel awesome anymore, and so that you move into this new direction of something even more awesome. And when you get to that place, that's when you really feel awesome. Until you get used to it. And then you get bored. And then you have a desire for something more. And that's all that's going on here. This is a wonderful world. This is a fun game. There's nothing serious going on. It seems serious from your perspective, but your perspective is a little tiny bit limited. Don't worry about that now. Go forth, have fun, have experiences, change every day, every moment, evolve, expand, and feel good. And with that, we are complete.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Woohoo!
Thank you for joining us for this episode of Joshua Live. As always, remember that you are loved more than you can imagine by more than you could ever count. We'll see you next time.